Bluebell's New School, Chapter 2. A few days later, Bluebell packed away her witch's robes, her wand and her spell books, and unwrapped her new uniform. There was a white shirt, a green skirt and a green jumper, with a Footleton Primary School badge sewn onto the chest. Twit gave her a suspicious look. "I'm not sure green is your colour," he said. "It makes you look a bit nauseous." Twit turned his head round in disgust and waddled into his cage to mope. Bluebell sighed. She picked up her broomstick from its usual place, hanging on the back of the bedroom door. She looked at it thoughtfully and then put it guiltily under her bed. "It would just be like having a holiday," she said quietly to the broom. Twit gnawed at his feet, now ignoring her with the utmost enthusiasm. "Oh, Twit, for goodness sake," Bluebell snapped. "I've had enough of stupid spells, making revolting potions and wearing daft clothes. Last week, the highlight in science was how to make frogs burp in tune. I ask you, exactly how is that going to be useful in life?" Twit didn't answer. He was paying particular attention to a new wart on his toe. Bluebell finished dressing and put her new school bag over her shoulder. "See you tonight, Twit, and don't get into any mischief. I'll know if any of the mice are missing." Footleton Primary School was a very old building with a tall clock tower. Every day at 12 o'clock, the clock bonged 12 bongs to announce that it was lunchtime. The day before Bluebell joined the school, it bonged 11 bongs, then stopped. The children were terribly confused, so the head teacher, Mr. Fiddlefaddle, had called in the engineers to fix it immediately. Bluebell had just arrived at school as the men were looking at the clock tower surveying the problem. The older one, wearing a pair of blue overalls and a flat cap, shook his head. "No," he said, sucking air through his teeth. No. Looks like your fire badger in the sprong caddy's gone. We'll have to pop out and get some spares." The younger one fidgeted. He looked young enough to be in school himself. "How long will it take to fix?" asked Mr. Fiddlefaddle. "Well," said the engineer, stroking his chin, "I can't promise we'll fix it today." "But how will the children know when it's lunchtime? Or time to go home?" Mr. Fiddlefaddle was starting to sweat. He suffered terribly from his nerves. They always listened for the bongs. "Well, we'll do what we can," said the engineer. Mr. Fiddlefaddle threw up his hands in desperation and left them to it. The engineers hopped into their van and drove off, leaving the door to the clock tower slightly ajar. Bluebell headed across the playground and bumped into Mr. Fiddlefaddle, who was muttering about shirking and things not being how they used to be. She was struck at how interesting his hair was. He was basically bald, with his scalp shining like it had been polished with beeswax, but there were substantial tufts of grey, bristly hairs sticking out from above his ears. They also sprouted quite enthusiastically from his ears and his top lip. "Hello," she said. "Ah, you must be Bluebell," said Mr. Fiddlefaddle, looking flustered. "Welcome to Footleton. Let me show you to your classroom. Miss Crisp is expecting you. Follow me." He marched towards the arched entrance, with his coat flapping behind him like a cloak. Bluebell scampered to keep up. The bell for class had just rung, so most of the children had hung up their coats and were sitting in their chairs. However, a small boy wearing short trousers that showed off his big knobbly knees on bean-sprout thin legs was drawing on the walls in the cloakroom. "Alfie Spinblast, what are you doing?" wailed Mr. Fiddlefaddle. "See me at lunchtime." Alfie dropped his piece of red chalk and hurried off into the classroom. "You can hang your coat on that hook," said the head teacher, picking up a discarded school jumper. "And then go and find a seat. I'll tell Miss Crisp you're here."